Good morning, everybody. Hi, it's Tracy Prachi with the RCAW, and we have Jennifer Richards with us from Safety Matters Training Institute, and we're going to be talking about a hot topic right now today on proof of vaccination. It's been a moving target for the last few weeks, and we hope that we have the most up-to-date information. At the end today, I will also be sending you out some generic documents that you can use that Jennifer is going to be talking about in her presentation. And you can use those with your company and your employees for your personnel department. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Jennifer. If you have questions throughout this presentation, please type them in the chat box and we will address them all at the end. Okay, thank you and welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Tracy. Hi, everybody. This is Jennifer Richards. I'm the owner of Safety Matters. We are a third-party safety consulting firm that specializes in basically ensuring that our clients are in compliance with all labor and industries regulations. We do that by assisting with developing accident prevention plans, site-specific forms, conducting weekly site inspections, safety meetings, various trainings. We assist with a lot of L&I litigation as far as like if somebody is cited, or if an employee, they have a disgruntled employee that files a complaint, or record keeping, claims management, and things like that. We also have a training center located in South Seattle, pretty much the Georgetown area. It's in the original Rainier Brewery down there, and we do a lot of trainings for various subjects. We partnered with RCAW a while back and offer discounts for RCAW members if they need assistance with various trainings or services. So that's a little bit about us. I got into construction in 1987, worked as a carpenter for about 12 years before I got into safety. So construction and construction safety is pretty much all I've ever really done. And I'm no expert, but this whole COVID thing and this new vaccine regulation, it really has people up in arms. And I've gotten a ton of questions since I sent out an email on Friday. I sent out a newsletter to all of our clients that I had received from L&I with the most up-to-date information as far as masks and vaccines. So when Tracy reached out to me about what this week's subject would be, I thought that we should probably talk about this new newsletter that went out on Friday. So that's what this is all about. So I received this late Friday afternoon that said that Washington State workplace masking guidelines help employers and workers adapt to the new CDC recommendations. And I just copied and pasted exactly what I was sent and then sent that out as the email. So it said, what's new? Fully vaccinated employees do not have to wear a mask or socially distance at work unless their employer still requires it. So my interpretation of this is, if you don't want to mess with verifying vaccinations or whatever your reason is, if you want to continue to require masks 100%, that is your option as an employer. If you want to allow employees to remove their masks and they show their proof of vaccination, that's now your choice as well. So before ending mask and social distance requirements, employers must confirm that workers are fully vaccinated by having the worker either sign a document attesting to their status or provide proof of vaccination. Initially, I'll be honest with you, when I set our policy, I was not going to allow an employee to just sign a letter of attesting to receiving the vaccine. But I have a very open door policy. And when I sent that out, an employee called me and he had some concerns, and I listened to his concerns, and without going into what they were, I decided to allow somebody to just sign a letter attesting to the fact that they've been vaccinated. Will that policy change? I don't really know, but I had my reasons for not wanting to allow that. But like I said, I listened to a couple of my team members who had valid arguments, and I went ahead and adopted the L&I policy. So you don't have to. If you don't want to allow just a signed form attesting to that they've been vaccinated and you want to see proof, then the employee's option is, if they don't want to show you their card, you can require them to continue to wear a mask. That's your choice. Employers must be able to demonstrate they have verified vaccination status for workers who are not masked or physically distanced. So the verifications may include creating a log of workers who have verified they've been vaccinated and the date of verification. And so again, what some of my employees did is they just sent in a copy of their card. They signed my new proof of vaccination policy, which I'm happy to share with you. I just drafted something up, and I'll show it to you at the end here. And as far as I'm concerned, they don't have to wear a mask when they come to our workplace in South Seattle. Checking vaccination status each day as workers enter a job site. Now, this was a tricky one, and I have not really gotten a concrete answer from Labor and Industries, but I had some subcontractors reach out to me Monday morning, and they are allowing, their policy is if their employees are fully vaccinated, they do not have to wear a mask. But the GCs are pushing back and requiring masks 100% on some of the projects that the subs workers were reporting to on Monday. So I reached out to Labor and Industries, and basically their response to me, and I have the email and I'm happy to share it with anybody. If the general contractor has a contract in place that says that subcontractors have to follow their company policies, and their company policies are more stringent than Washington State's minimal requirements, and it's a contractual agreement, then subs have to comply with the GC's policies. An example was, if the GC is 100% gloves and 100% eye protection, even whether the task requires it or not, in order to work on that job, you must wear gloves and you must wear eye protection, then subcontractors have to comply. Exact same thing. If a general contractor requires masks, regardless of vaccinations, then that's what you have to comply to. And so the other question I asked was, does a GC have to have somebody that is monitoring this? Do they, like we've all seen what I call COVID shacks. I have a couple of employees who are full-time COVID screeners, and they sit at the entrance of a job site, and for a while they were taking temperatures. They were asking all of the questions, are you showing signs and symptoms? Have you tested positive? Everything that we've all been going through for the past year. Well, now, are they required to obtain copies of vaccinations? I have not gotten a concrete answer on that, guys. They have not, L&I has not come back and said yes, that the general contractors must be monitoring this. Most of the general contractors that I work with have adopted the policy that they're just going to continue to require masks, because they don't want to have to monitor yet another, thing where they have to hire somebody to monitor vaccination. I can only speak for the GCs that I'm working with and what most of them are telling me. So I don't know how L&I is handling this. As far as I'm concerned, if a general contractor called me and wanted to see a copy of one of my employees' vaccination cards, if my employee does not want me to share that, I'm not going to. And so I don't know where the proof of vaccination lies as far as when you have multiple trades going to one job site where the GC is controlling the policy. I have not gotten an answer on that. And then marking a worker's badge or credential to show that they are vaccinated. So I did talk to one general late last night, and their safety director told me that they're going to start with the hard hat sticker, just like they do for site orientation. If they have seen somebody's vaccination card, then they will give them a vaccination sticker, and they don't have to wear a mask. So that was one option that is available to us. Other methods demonstrating an employer has verified worker vaccination status may also meet the standard. So when verifying an employee's vaccine status, acceptable documentation includes the CDC vaccination card, a photo of the card, documentation from a healthcare provider, or a signed attestation from the worker, or documentation from the state immunization information system. This whole signed attestation form, this was probably the most questions I got yesterday. They were like, seriously, Jen, a worker can just sign something stating they've been vaccinated? Again, yes, you can accept that as proof. It does not have to be notarized. Or you can say, no, that's not good enough for us. If you're not willing to share your card, you have to wear a mask. That's a employer's discretion. Evidence of the verification system must be available to L&I upon request. So this isn't any different than if they were asking for your OSHA 300 log that shows how many injuries you've had over the year, or they're asking to see your weekly safety meetings, or they're asking to see your COVID screening process or your new COVID plan. Now we have to have a vaccination record keeping system in place. How they're going to enforce this or implement it, I don't really know. I know what I've decided to do for my company, and I will share that with you. So again, employers may still require mask use if they choose, with some exceptions. And if you go to the L&I website and you type in, proof of vaccination or something like that, I'm pretty sure the actual newsletter will come up and you can click on that link. And some of the exceptions are like healthcare providers, and if you work in like a assisted living home, that sort of thing. There's some exemptions, bars and restaurants and establishments that serve food and alcohol, there's still some exceptions. Employers must allow employees to wear a mask or other protective equipment if they choose to, regardless of vaccination status. So you can't force employees to take their masks off. I was out last night in a place where if you were fully vaccinated, you didn't have to wear a mask. I would say 90% of the people did not have masks on. You did not have to show proof. A lot of people still had their masks on. So 90% is probably an exaggeration, but if an employee wants to keep wearing a mask, that's their right, whether they've been vaccinated or not. If an employee is not fully vaccinated or their vaccinated status is unknown, employers must continue to require masks and social distancing. The social distancing, from everything that I have read, is still 6 feet. Somebody had told me that in schools it's 3 feet. I don't know. I just know that I was sent a link when I asked the question, what are the social distancing requirements in construction? I didn't get a straight answer. I was just emailed a link from a consultant at Labor and Industries. And when I went to the link, all I could find was 6 feet. So that's what I know to be what they're enforcing. So the new guidance does not change masking rules for healthcare settings like hospitals, long-term care facilities, doctors' offices, correctional facilities, homeless shelters, or schools. And the federal order requiring masks on public transportation remains in place. You can't fire or discriminate against an employee who is at high risk of contracting COVID-19 and is seeking accommodation that protects them from COVID-19 exposure, or unvaccinated individuals are still required to wear face coverings in all public spaces. And again, if you go into a Costco or a Safeway or anywhere that might not be requiring fully vaccinated people to wear masks, I don't see anybody policing that. So it's sort of on the honor system from what I can see. Again, that's public versus the place of employment. If you notice, all employees are still wearing masks in everywhere that I'm going. So that's kind of interesting to me. Okay. For more information, you can go to the DOSH Directive 1.70 and 11.80. Okay, so what did I do? I sent out this form after I got some pushback from a couple of my employees that I trust them and I believe they were vaccinated, and they both told me that they were vaccinated. They had their reasons for not feeling comfortable showing the card. And honestly, guys, both of them, their concern is they're tired of the government being so involved in their life. And they feel like we need to step up as a society, I guess, and dig our heels in on certain things. And, you know, they just don't want to show the proof. So I said, okay, fine. I will adopt the policy that I will accept a form if you sign this telling me that you are vaccinated, then it's on you if you really aren't, I guess. And I am accepting it. I got a generic form from a client who created something that was a little bit more detailed that I might adopt, and I'm happy to share that with you. Tracy has my contact information, and it just kind of, I think it had like, yes, I've received the Johnson & Johnson, or yes, I've received the Pfizer or the Moderna with the actual date. And so they had the employee fill that information in. So that's an option as well. And then this was the memo, or I sent this out, and everybody has to sign this. And the title is Proof of Vaccination. This letter is on behalf of the most recent new state workplace masking guideline for employers enforced by Labor and Industries. When verifying an employee's vaccine status, acceptable documentation includes the copy of the card, photo of the card, documentation, or a signed attestation from the worker. So then I attached that form. In an effort to comply with new guidelines, please sign this letter and return to whoever you want at your company via email or regular mail. If you do not have any of the above, please continue to wear a mask during all work hours. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to call. So I have all of my team members signing this and either returning the attestation form or a copy of their vaccination card. And that's what I'm keeping for my records. You know, I honestly, guys, I feel like this is all still very premature. I don't feel like LNI necessarily doesn't want to answer everybody's questions. I just think that maybe they're not even sure how they're going to enforce this or police it or implement it. And, you know, what will the fines be if you don't adopt this policy? Those questions I don't really have the answers to, and I'm not sure Labor and Industries even really knows. So with that, I would like to open up for some questions. Tracy, do we have any questions?
Will we be able to get a copy of the more detailed letter that you just mentioned?
Yes, I will take out, it came to me on, you know, with the company letterhead, and I need to make it more generic because I don't want to, you know, share it. But yes, I will send that to you, Tracy, as soon as we wrap up here. And it will just be in generic form without the company letterhead.
Perfect. And then I'll get that sent out with the this letter that's up on your screen right now, as well as just the less wordy generic letter for attesting that you've had a vaccine. So you'll get 3 attachments when you participated today that will come out after Jennifer sends that over to me.
And then Tracy, you have the newsletter that I sent out Friday, May 21st, and you're more than welcome to share that with any of your members as well if you haven't already. It's basically everything that I just covered in this PowerPoint, but it's, you know, official from Labor and Industries.
And I've also, since we sent out the legislative update, Gary from the IBA has also updated the guidance and sent me a bulletin today. So I will also attach that with the 3 letters to everyone who participated, just to make sure that everybody's got the most up-to-date information. Because like I said, it's a moving target and we're doing the best we can, but it is important that we get you the most up-to-date information so you can protect yourselves, your employees, and your customers.
Right. Tracy, I have a question for the attendees. I'm just curious, if they are subcontractors, what are they seeing out there? Are most of the general contractors that they're working for continuing to require masks regardless of vaccinations?
Is there anybody that can answer that that's on today? Just type into the chat. I think the majority of our participants are residential today.
Mm.
So I don't know that that's something that they can answer.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm having mixed feedback on it, but like I said, most of my clients that are general contractors, and this is mostly in the commercial arena, they are telling me we're just going to keep requiring masks. We're not messing with it. And I wasn't surprised by that, but and some of my GCs that are residential it's kind of mixed. Some are allowing for the proof of vaccination and some are not. They're just continuing to enforce masks. Any other questions?
I've seen and heard the same, mostly are just staying masked up is what Josh, thank you, Josh, for sharing that.
That they're just still continuing to require masks?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would encourage employers to reach out to Labor and Industries and, try to get the consultants. I'm not trying to give them a bad rap. I'm frustrated because I'm not getting clear answers. I'm just getting copies of links. And like I was talking to Tracy earlier today, I can read a link, but I have questions about the language in some of this stuff. And I'm not getting much like interpretation or, assistance with, how they're going to enforce this or what the repercussions would be of an employer. Like I know if you don't track your OSHA 300 log and post your OSHA 300A form, it's $1,000 fine. I know it, it's in black and white. And, I think it's just all too new. I don't think they really know. But I would encourage as employers to continue to seek assistance from Labor and Industries because, it's not that we don't want to comply. It's just that a lot of us don't know how to. So my advice is to just start implementing something and stay informed. If you go to the L&I website, the letter L, if you don't know, N, L as in Larry, N as in Nancy, I as in igloo.wa.gov, you can subscribe to everything that is new. So like the new fall protection laws, when they came out in October, you would have been informed immediately. The newsletter that I received on Friday, you would have been informed immediately. So I would encourage you to do that. That seems like the best way to stay up on all of this stuff that is, like Tracy said, a moving target.
Here's another question. How do we treat accusations that this is in violation of HIPAA?
You know, Gary addressed that issue in the IBA newsletter that you sent out yesterday, Tracy, and I don't have the answer to that. Here's what I told when my employee was pushing back and saying, Jen, I want you to accept the attestation form and I don't have to show you proof. Honestly, I've been having to show proof of my son's vaccinations in order for him to get into school since he was in kindergarten. So I don't, that's the only thing I know how to say back to everybody is, why weren't we questioning HIPAA laws then? Or yeah, I mean, you know, it's still happening today. My nieces and nephews who are young that are, you know, enrolling into school have to show certain vaccinations. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I understand why people are saying, hey, this is a violation of my HIPAA rights. But again, we've been having to show vaccinations to schools to get into college. So I'm not sure how this is any different other than, you know, hey, this is your employer versus a school. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a public health issue versus a private issue.
Yeah. And this is not a new question. I expected this to come up and I wish I had a better answer. It's sort of why I decided as an employer, hey, I have to trust that my employees aren't going to lie to me and tell me they were vaccinated if they weren't, you know, and it decided to go with the minimal requirements on this, you know, even though initially I thought, no, I want to see the proof. So if you are concerned that you have employees, they're going to push back and say goes against my HIPAA rights, my advice would probably be to go ahead and accept the attestation form. I don't know if that's the right advice, but I don't know, guys. There's so much, what's the word, personalities out there with all of this, you know.
It's
As much as
politicized a little bit, and
you think, yeah, a little bit.
you know, that's got something to do with it. But and as an employer, if you have that on file, then at least you've done your part. So
Exactly. They're basically saying, you know, you need to take your you have the right to take your employee's word for it, and they don't have to prove it. That said, the University of Washington, you know, my employees attend some of their OSHA outreach courses, and the University of Washington is saying you can't attend our courses if you don't show proof of vaccination. So, you know, and I don't even think they're given the option that if you're not vaccinated, you can just wear a mask. I think they're digging their heels in and saying you absolutely have to be vaccinated. I know an employer cannot do that. Like, you can't adopt that policy as an employer. You can say you have to wear masks, but you can't tell an employee you have to get vaccinated. Not in the construction industry. There are some exceptions. I know there are some employees, again, healthcare providers, you know, schools, people that work in assisted living and that sort of thing. They can have the policy that you must be vaccinated, but we don't have that right.
understood.
So,
is there any additional questions, guys? Okay, not that I can see.
okay.
So we will get all of the guidance that Jennifer has talked about, and as well as Gary's updated guidance out to you this afternoon, just as soon as I get the longer letter from Jen. And you know, as anything develops, we will let you know. Hopefully the state will open up at the end of June like they're talking, and maybe this will all be behind us. But in the meantime, we need to follow the rules and make sure that as employers we're covered, and as employees, our employees are safe. So I think this was a really great opportunity to get a little bit more of this explained to us. And thank you, Jennifer. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, with that, I'm going to let everybody go, and I will be following up with some emails. And thank you again, Jennifer, and thank you all for participating.